Welcome to Turkish Series TV. This time we are counting down 15 of the finest completed Turkish dramas in the entire catalog. These are productions that truly lived out their full story arc and delivered a genuinely proper ending. From lighthearted romantic comedies to grand historical epics, this list covers the full range of what Turkish television has to offer. Every title has been verified as finished, so no cliffhangers and no waiting. If you are new to the channel, we cover Turkish drama in depth, without filters. Hit subscribe and leave a like before we start. The countdown begins. Number 15. Mr. Wrong. There is a moment in the early episodes of Mr. Wrong where the male lead, playing one of the most spectacularly ill-equipped romantic partners in Turkish drama, does something so thoroughly ridiculous that you realize exactly what kind of show this is going to be, and you stop resisting it. Ken Yaman as Oscar builds a character who by all logic should be insufferable, a man fully convinced of his own charm despite an almost perfect record of romantic disaster, and makes him irresistibly watchable through precise comic timing that is harder to execute than it looks. Ozga Gürel as Ezgi provides the counterbalance, a woman with the most spectacular run of bad luck and love you will encounter in the Turkish catalog, whose situation never tips into self-pity because the script and the actress refuse to let it. Mr. Wrong makes no secret of what it is. It does not aim for emotional devastation or narrative complexity. It aims for a particular quality of light entertainment that relaxes you completely, makes you laugh with genuine frequency, and delivers exactly the romantic resolution the setup promises. 14 episodes that disappear in what feels like no time at all. The ideal introduction to Turkish romantic comedy for viewers who want something warm, unpretentious, and consistently enjoyable. Sometimes, exactly what you need is exactly what this series delivers. Mr. Wrong proved that Turkish drama can produce romantic comedy with the same ease and quality it brings to its more dramatic productions. Number 14. You Name It. The setup of You Name It sounds almost too simple. A pregnant woman whose partner wants nothing to do with her, and a lawyer who agrees to a contract marriage to save appearances for reasons that gradually become clear. What makes this production work is that it does not stay satisfied with that premise. Firat and Nisan are trapped in an arrangement neither wanted, surrounded by families with competing agendas and pasts that keep surfacing at the worst possible moments. The series has the particular skill of balancing genuine dramatic weight with moments of warmth and even humor that make it less exhausting to watch than many family dramas of similar length. Ibrahim Selikol as Firat delivers one of his finest performances. A man of emotional barriers who opens incrementally and credibly over the course of the run, never in ways that feel forced by the needs of the script. Irem Helvachioglu brings Nisan a quiet dignity that prevents the character from ever becoming a straightforward object of pity, even when circumstances conspire to put her there. You Name It has uneven stretches, particularly when secondary family storylines expand beyond what the pacing can comfortably support. But the central relationship is written and performed with enough authenticity that it carries the production reliably through 2 seasons and 64 episodes. A dependable, well-crafted Turkish drama that delivers on its core emotional promise. Number 13. Daughters of the Sun. I started Daughters of the Sun expecting something light and ended up having genuine arguments with people about the choices the character of Suna makes and why she makes them. That kind of engagement, where a character becomes a real presence worth debating, is rarer than Turkish drama makes it look, and it is one of the things that elevates this series above comparable entries in the family comedy genre. The story follows 4 sisters of sharply distinct personalities who must reconcile years of separation and accumulated grievances after a family lie surfaces that had kept them apart. The series has an unusual ability to make all 4 central characters equally compelling simultaneously, which requires writing of considerable precision and performances to match it. The humor emerges naturally from the dynamics between the sisters rather than being engineered, and that organic quality is what keeps it from feeling forced even in its lighter episodes. Daughters of the Sun is not afraid to go to genuinely difficult places when the story demands it, and those darker moments give the comedy real ballast. Nurgul Yesilkay anchors the ensemble with a presence that holds the whole family dynamic together. The second season has stretches that lose some of the first season's narrative tightness, but the overall quality is high, and the series stands as one of the finest examples of the Turkish family drama genre across 2 complete seasons. Number 12. My Name is Feriha. What gives the protagonist of this series her particular power is that she is genuinely, consistently imperfect, and yet the audience never stops understanding her. Feriha lies. She constructs a false identity to gain access to a world that would reject her if it knew her real background. And because the writing shows precisely why she makes that choice, the viewer understands the logic even while recognizing its moral cost. My Name is Fariha follows a young woman from a working-class family who earns entry to her dream university and then decides to hide her origins from everyone she meets. What unfolds is a drama about imposture, class, anxiety, love, and the unbearable weight of maintaining a fiction over a sustained period. Azal Kaya carries Fariha with extraordinary precision, never fully sympathetic, never fully culpable, always completely human. Kagate Ulusoy as Amir provides the series with its most emotionally complex beat. He is a man who falls genuinely in love without knowing he is being deceived, and when the truth arrives, his reaction is one of the most carefully written responses in the romantic drama genre in Turkish television. The series has slower passages in the middle of its first season, but recovers fully with a second season that brings the emotional stakes to a conclusion that hit an entire generation of viewers with unusual force. My Name is Fariha remains one of the defining entries in Turkish romantic drama, a reference point for the genre that has aged remarkably well. Number 11. House of Fortune. How much does the place you were born define who you will always be? That question drives every episode of House of Fortune, a family drama that confronts domestic violence and the long reach of trauma without simplifying either subject into a lesson. Zeynep grew up in poverty and abuse and rebuilt her life at enormous personal cost. When circumstances force her back into contact with that past, she discovers that what she escaped is not as distant as her new life would suggest. The series earns its place in the Turkish drama catalog by handling its difficult themes with a refusal to editorialize. House of Fortune shows the mechanics and consequences of abuse with an honesty that makes the viewer genuinely uncomfortable, and that discomfort is the point. Demet Özdemir constructs Zeynep as a character defined entirely by her own agency rather than by victimhood, which is both more accurate and dramatically more interesting. Ibrahim Selikol as Mehdi delivers one of the most unsettling villain portrayals in recent Turkish drama, a man whose capacity for damage comes from recognizable, human places, which makes him far more disturbing than a flat antagonist. House of Fortune is not easy viewing, and that is precisely what makes it valuable. 3 seasons and 76 episodes that pose questions about identity, escape, and inherited damage that the viewer keeps answering long after the finale. Number 10. Little Murders. What nobody expects from a series called Little Murders is for it to turn out to be, fundamentally, a story about female friendship and the secrets that people keep from the people they care about most. The surface is darker. A wealthy Istanbul neighborhood where everyone seems to have something to hide, and where the veneer of perfect lives conceals decades of accumulated deception. But the real engine of the series is the dynamic between its core group of women, whose friendship has the texture of something long and complicated and real. Little Murders has the unusual ability to use dark humor in its most unexpected moments, making situations that should be purely sinister also somehow genuinely funny. The tonal balance it achieves, moving between real, emotional weight and dark comedy without ever losing credibility in either register, is the signature achievement of the production. The writing of the female characters in this series is some of the most sophisticated in the Turkish drama catalog. These are fully developed human beings whose choices carry consequences that the script actually honors. Not every season maintains the same level of tightness. The first is the most precisely crafted, but the production stays genuinely interesting across 4 complete seasons and 99 episodes through writing that consistently trusts the intelligence of its audience rather than pandering to genre expectations. Little Murders is one of the most original and genre-defying entries in the Turkish drama catalog, essential for viewers who want something beyond the obvious. Number 9. 1001 Nights. Watching it feels like reading one of those novels where each chapter ends at precisely the moment you least want to stop. 1001 Nights has that narrative cadence of classic serialized storytelling, a rhythm that the best melodrama uses to its advantage without making the manipulation feel cynical. The central premise could easily have become a standard morality tale. Sherazade, a single mother, agrees to spend one night with a powerful businessman in exchange for funds to save her dying son. In lesser hands, this would be a vehicle for simplistic judgments. What the series does instead is build both characters with enough depth that what develops between them feels like something genuinely inevitable rather than constructed. Bergüzar Korel as Sherazade carries a character in an extreme position of vulnerability with a dignity that never once solicits pity. Halit Ergin as Owner has the structural challenge of making credible the transformation of a cold and calculating man into someone capable of real feeling, and he earns that transformation across 3 seasons. When 1001 Nights became a cultural phenomenon in the Arab world in 2008 and 2009, it was the beginning of something much larger for the international reach of Turkish drama. Watching it today, the reasons for that impact remain entirely clear. 3 seasons and 79 episodes of romantic drama done with genuine craft and serious emotional intelligence. Number 8. Istanbul Bride. Let me be honest, Istanbul Bride runs longer than its story strictly needs. The second half of the run introduces new characters and complications that, while not without entertainment value, dilute the focus power of the earlier arcs. That said, Istanbul Bride does something that very few long Turkish family dramas manage. It develops its core characters with genuine coherence across 95 episodes, allowing the audience to watch real growth without that growth feeling forced by narrative convenience. The story of Shreya, a singer from Istanbul who marries into a traditional Anatolian family and must navigate the gap between two deeply different worlds, is a type of conflict the Turkish drama genre knows well. What Istanbul Bride brings to it is an unusual willingness to portray the conflict without demonizing either side. Asli Enver carries Shreya with a combination of grace and stubbornness that keeps the character central even when the plot tries to move away from her. Özkan Deniz, as Faruk, provides the picture of a man genuinely caught between his love for his wife and his obligations to the world he came from, and that tension gives the series its emotional core. For viewers who enjoy committing to long, character-driven dramas with genuine emotional investment, Istanbul Bride delivers exactly that across 3 complete seasons. 3 seasons that prove the Turkish family drama genre can go beyond surface-level conflict when the writing commits to real character development. Number 7. Remember My Dear. There is a scene in Remember My Dear where the protagonist hears for the first time a kind of music connected to the Istanbul he left behind, and Barensaat's reaction in that moment, entirely contained, no dialogue, just her face, and whatever the sound is doing to her is so precise and so small and so completely truthful that it tells you everything about what this series understands about nostalgia and the loss of time. Set across the 1950s and early 1960s in Turkey, the story follows Orhan, a man returning to Istanbul after years abroad, and his reunion with Azra, his love from another life, now living in a completely different set of circumstances. Remember, My Dear does something that Turkish historical drama does not always have the courage to do. It shows an era with its real contradictions intact. The collision between modernization and tradition played out in the daily lives of ordinary people rather than political abstractions. The visual recreation of Istanbul in that era, from the neighborhoods to the light, is done with the kind of care that turns each episode into a genuine piece of period craft. Barensaat and Mehmet Akif Alikurt carry a melancholic chemistry that suits the story's emotional register perfectly. 2 seasons and 66 episodes of quietly powerful historical romance that deserves to be far better known. Number 6. Love and Azure. What drives Love and Azure is a situation as simple and as devastating as any in the Turkish drama catalog. A man who has loved one woman his entire adult life and never found the courage to act, and a woman who built her life alongside someone else without ever fully understanding why something was always missing. When Ali and Mavi finally come into direct contact, the years between them weigh on every conversation they have, and the series has the wisdom to let that weight be felt rather than narrated. Love and Azure is adult romance in the truest sense. Its characters have histories, commitments they cannot simply abandon, and decisions behind them that cannot be undone. That context makes the central emotional situation more complex and more resonant than the usual Turkish drama starting point. Aytak Sazmaz and Serenay Sarıkaya form a pairing whose tension reads as real precisely because the script gives them real things to navigate rather than manufactured misunderstandings. The series has pacing issues in its 2nd and 3rd seasons, where some story threads extend beyond their natural conclusions, and the resolution of certain conflicts feels somewhat rushed. But the core of the story, love that arrives too late and too certainly at the same time, remains emotionally consistent and compelling across 3 full seasons and 80 episodes of solid dramatic craft. Love and Azure is one of the most emotionally mature depictions of late-arriving love in the Turkish drama catalog, and stands apart for that maturity. Number 5. Bitter Lands. I did not expect a period drama set in the 1970s cotton fields of southern Turkey to grip me the way Bitter Lands did. The setting is specific, almost deliberately unfamiliar, and yet the story that unfolds within it, of 2 people running from a secret that pursues them, of a woman trapped in a life she did not choose, of a love that survives circumstances specifically designed to destroy it, is universal in the way only great drama can manage. What makes Bitter Lands exceptional is its consistent refusal to sentimentalize its tragedy. The terrible things that happen to the characters leave permanent marks. The consequences accumulate and reshape who these people are from one season to the next. Hilal Al-Timbalek as Zuleyha is the axis around which all 4 seasons turn, carrying her character from youth and vulnerability to a hard-won maturity forged by everything she endures. Across 141 episodes, without ever losing the coherence of the character she established in the first, the series achieved something remarkable internationally. Bitter Lands became Terra Amara in Italy and turned into a full cultural phenomenon, elevating Altinbilek to genuine international stardom. Long and demanding? Yes. But few Turkish dramas have built their world and their characters with comparable depth and sustained emotional commitment over such an extended run. Bitter Lands is one of the most internationally successful Turkish dramas of the last decade, and that success is entirely deserved. Number 4. The Last Emperor. The depiction of Sultan Abdulhamid II in this series resists the simplest version of the historical character. Rather than a one-dimensional strongman or a simplified hero, the series builds a man who carries the weight of an empire in visible decline and makes decisions in the dark, fully aware that history will judge some of them without access to the context that made them inevitable. The Last Emperor presents the final years of the Ottoman Empire through the lens of its most controversial late sultan, and it does so with a political seriousness that distinguishes it from more straightforward historical adventure. Bülent Enal inhabits the Sultan with a commanding screen presence that fills every scene he occupies, transforming the political monologues that structure the series into genuine dramatic moments rather than historical lectures. The production design is exceptional. The palace sets, the period costuming, and the visual recreation of late 19th century Istanbul are produced at a level of detail that represents some of the finest work the Turkish historical drama genre has achieved in technical terms. The series demands active attention. The density of its international political storylines can feel overwhelming for viewers without prior historical context. But for those drawn to palace intrigue built on real historical stakes, The Last Emperor is one of the most substantive and ambitious offerings in the Turkish historical drama catalog across 5 complete seasons. Number 3. The Oath. How much does it cost to defend what you believe is right? That question runs through every episode of The Oath, a series that uses the world of Turkish Special Forces operations as the setting for an exploration of loyalty, sacrifice, and the brotherhood that forms between people who share the same danger. The squad at the center of the story operates in military missions against armed groups, but The Oath is smart enough not to reduce itself to an action showcase. Its characters have lives outside the operations, families they return to carrying wounds that never appear on any medical report, and it is that off-duty dimension that gives the action sequences their weight. The production values of the combat scenes are consistently impressive, matching international productions of considerably larger budgets in terms of tactical realism and choreographic quality. Tolga Sarıtaş as the protagonist delivers one of his finest performances. A soldier defined by duty who discovers over 3 seasons that duty and conscience do not always align as cleanly as military training implies. The series handles the moral complexity of its subject without easy shortcuts and without turning its characters into either propaganda pieces or cynical anti-heroes. 97 episodes that maintain narrative tension with a consistency that is genuinely rare in long-running Turkish productions. The Oath stands among the finest military dramas in the entire Turkish catalog. Number 2. Magnificent Century. What no one anticipated when this production premiered in 2011 was that a series set in the Ottoman harem of Suleiman the Magnificent would become one of the most watched Turkish dramas in the entire history of the medium and a global export reaching over 150 countries. Magnificent Century took the real history of the longest reign in the Ottoman Empire's 600-year span and built from it a drama of political and personal complexity that no one expected from what early coverage described as a palace costume serial. Halit Ergen as Suleiman creates an indelible portrait, simultaneously an undefeated military conqueror, a genuine intellectual, and a man of entirely recognizable human failings in his private life. Meryem Uzerli as Hürrem in the early seasons delivers a performance that reset what Turkish drama could ask of its lead actresses in terms of range and emotional complexity. The costuming, the recreation of Topkapi Palace, and the composition by Fahir Atakoglu are collectively among the finest technical achievements in the genre's history. Magnificent Century has its moments of calculated melodrama and embraces them knowingly, but the ambition and execution are so consistently high across 4 seasons and 139 episodes that its place as the foundational text of Turkish drama's international era is beyond serious debate. Magnificent Century changed the trajectory of Turkish television forever and remains, over a decade later, the essential starting point for anyone entering the genre. Number 1. Resurrection. Ertugrul. Watching it feels like entering a world with its own complete internal logic, its own code of honor, and a soundtrack that lodges itself in your memory long after the episodes are over. Resurrection. Ertugrul builds an atmosphere that very few historical dramas in any language have sustained across a run of this length. A world where loyalty to your values has a genuine and sometimes devastating cost, where alliances shift, and where victory never arrives without loss. The series tells the story of Ertugrul Bey in 13th century Anatolia, the man who would become the father of the founder of the Ottoman Empire, tracing his leadership of the Kayi tribe through conflicts that threatened its very survival. Engin Altan Duziatan carries the protagonist with a physical and emotional presence that turned Ertugrul into a cultural icon whose reach extends far beyond Turkey. The series found its largest international audiences in Pakistan, the Arab world, and dozens of additional markets, and that reach speaks to something universal in what it depicts about leadership, sacrifice, and the refusal to surrender what you believe belongs to your people. Resurrection. Ertugrul is long, and it asks for serious commitment from its viewers. 5 seasons and 150 episodes. But those who give it that commitment find themselves inside one of the most fully realized historical epics that television has produced in the 21st century. That is our top 15 best completed Turkish dramas. If any of these productions are truly new to you, excellent viewing lies ahead. If you already know them all, tell me in the comments which one you would rank first and exactly why you would put it there above everything else. Those conversations are what makes this community worth coming back to every week. Thank you for watching all the way to the end. See you in the next one.